scuttlebutt is, shit, can Foxy actually be cool on occasion? This changes everything.
Foxy's always been cool, you're just blind.
What about Buggy?
No, Buggy is a clown.
Okay, Gaimon?
Gaimon is a man in a box. What about that screams cool to you?
Boop-a-doop-a-doop-boo, boo. 3.5, not a real season. 3.5, but still king of the what? Now 3.5. Gonna watch some pirates. 3.5 before season 4.
Start the show! Hello and welcome to King of the What Now, a podcast where my friends and I sail the high seas of One Piece. As always, I'm your Captain Joel.
I'm your navigator, Cat.
And I am a cool ice cube, Curtis.
I love it so very, very much.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah.
So we did a different intro this time, but I thought we were going to do another different intro.
I mean, what else is there? I mean, I guess we could listen to another podcast and kind of parody their intro.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Does it have anything to do with the fact that this is episode 69 of King of the What Now?
What does that mean?
No, God, get your head out of the gutter.
They made me do that joke. I want to make that very clear. Welcome, fellow adventurers, the Grand Line. We just finished watching some episodes.
Yeah, I don't actually have the list in front of me. So before we get into the normal episode that we do here, let me just say that it has been a journey. And I'm so thankful that if you're still listening to this, that we haven't, messed it up royally. So this is the first episode that we are recording in two separate states. It used to be that we would either record in the same room or at least in the same city, just in kind of opposite ends of it. But now, Kat and I have made our move to another state, and this is the first time that we've done that. This is the first time that we've recorded in a closet, as proper amateur podcasters are wont to do. We could not find some of the chords to set up our thing. We lost our cold opens that we had written down in preparation for the recording. We missed the regularly recorded recording session the regularly scheduled recording episode, because half an hour before we were supposed to start, I laid my head down on the couch and I woke up 4 hours later. So it's been a lot. It's been a mess. And I just want to thank you all for your patience. And if the audio quality is bad, please let us know. Reach out to us on Twitter or Gmail. Yes, because we want more fan interaction, but also because we genuinely do not know how this is going to sound. The other thing that I wanted to point out really quick, self-plug, we started this podcast, Kat and I, because we love One Piece so much. And so I've been doing a weekly thread, but I took a break from it for 1 week. But I'm doing a weekly thread, hashtag OPLove, capital O, capital P, capital L, for One Piece love. And it's just highlighting the positive things about the show that we love so very, very much. At the time of recording, I'd only done 2 weeks of this. I'd done a thread for each of the Straw Hat members that we've met so far, and then I did another one for notable allies of the Straw Hat crew, and then I will probably do one of the villains before this episode goes live. So that's a special sneak peek if you somehow get the unedited audio before it goes up. So there's that. Also, one final announcement, because of the move, and because of changing jobs, and because we have some exciting stuff going on in our personal lives that are going to eat into our available time, we are likely going to switch to a every other week schedule of release. Which unfortunately means that any hope we had of trying to catch up with our rivals at Piece Together, that's probably out the window at this point. But this is the only way that we can ensure a quality product for you, our listeners, and it also allows us to do things like, if we do enough recording at our regular cadence, if we record once a week but we only release an episode every 2 weeks, then maybe we'll have special weeks where you get 5 episodes in the entire week. What? That's so much One Piece! But it also means that we might be doing episodes that cover, say, 8 episodes of the anime, or 10, because we have more time between when the episodes have to go live. We can cover larger chunks, and there's going to be a couple of episodes coming up where I think we're going to want to dedicate our time to more episodes so we can have a more holistic discussion. Any comments from my wonderful co-hosts?
Joel has been an angel this whole time, and we should all support him because moving is very stressful.
Oh my god, it is.
That's all I had to say. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and I hope that you'll stick with us on our new release schedule.
Okay.
I don't I don't have anything to say.
Fair enough. Thank you, Curtis. Why don't
You're
you
welcome.
move to our state, and then we can go back to recording the way we did before.
That's right. We have to keep all personally identifiable information out of here, even though people could very easily figure out who we are and all that stuff based off of the fact that, gee, Catherine, how many conventions have we gone to in the last year since we started this podcast? That's weird. They're all based in the same geographical location. That's so weird.
Really, we should be saying state, province, or prefecture.
Yeah, because at this point, they know which country we live in. They know we live on the planet Earth.
Oh, guys, we're speaking English with no discernible, kind of accent. So it's probably that we're not from, say, like, the Asian countries.
Pip pip cheerio.
Oh man, that would be is there like a World Culture Day? We could do an episode that releases on World Culture Day, and we could do just the worst accents, and we could present information about countries that you might not know about.
That's a great idea.
Great learning opportunity.
I remember at one point you were going to tell our listeners what episodes this episode of the podcast covers.
Dang, you're always getting on me for that. Okay, episodes 225, 226, 227, 228. So, as we already covered last episode, the Stolen Memories, Lost Memories arc, whatever you want to call it, that was filler. But this is the end of the Long Ring, Long Land arc. We met a very tall icy boy, who Curse will be describing in just a moment when he does his summary. And this also means that we are moving out of the interim season, as we've been calling it, 3.5, and moving towards season 4. So we'll have a new opening, not next week, but not next episode, but the episode after that. Next episode, before I forget, we are covering movie 6 of the One Piece series, Baron Omotsuri? And The Secret Island. I do not know that character's name. I have not seen this movie, but I'm very excited for it because I think I've seen some clips, and I think this is the one that has always had my attention, even before I'd seen it. So now, Curtis can go into his world-famous, succinct summary.
Yes, it begins now. All right, so the Straw Hats find Foxy. Foxy, that guy from a couple episodes ago? Yes, that one. They find him and his 2 subordinates in the middle of a storm.
Hamburg and Porsche. I know that nobody really... Oh, Porsche.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to mention them again after this, so... After saving them, they find the 500 crew members that he lost during the Davy Back fight under a new flag. The Straw Hats help Foxy win his crew back, but then he double-crosses them. Foxy traps...
Who could have guessed?
I know, it's so against his character. But then Foxy traps all of them except for Chopper and Robin, who have remained aboard the Going Merry to play some fun board games. The Straw Hats...
Wait, hang on. I'm sorry. Is Robin legally allowed to play Battleship? Because of what we know about her past, I think...
She's allowed, but it's very traumatizing for her, so she doesn't.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Curtis.
If the Marines find out about it, they raise her bounty level.
By 1 berry each time.
That's actually what Aokiji meant when he said she sunk a bunch of battleships. He meant she beat him in a game, and it was so upsetting.
Oh, it was so upsetting. See, I was about to say, but then, much like spoilers for Ender's Game, it turns out that the battleship on the board were actual real battleships. And she was just playing a game. She's like, yay, I won! And they're like, you're the worst criminal!
Oh, no.
But yeah, anyways, the Straw Hats do eventually escape and defeat Foxy. And then they do it again on a deserted island because he follows them, and we apparently didn't get enough of Foxy already. That should be the last time we see him, though. And after that, they go to look for emergency supplies, but they run into a Marine admiral named Aokiji. And apparently, he recognizes Robin. But Aokiji is lazy, and he decides that he doesn't want to capture the Straw Hats. He really just wants to take a nap. Unfortunately for him, after revealing that he's a Marine, some stranded civilians who had been hiding emerge from the trees. The Straw Hats see to their immediate needs, like
medical attention.
Medical attention, food, that sort of stuff. But then Aokiji offers them a way off the island. He freezes the ocean.
Oh my god.
He then decides he actually wants to kill the Straw Hats now. After dropping some information about Robin's past and the fact that Luffy has a grandfather, which I mean, probably he did.
I hate to spoil it for you, but he might just have 2 of those. He might have the fabled backup grandpa.
Oh my god! How many grandfathers does he have? Probably just the 2.
We assume.
So they begin a fight. Aokiji immediately takes out the monster trio and then freezes Robin solid. The rest of the crew snags Robin's frozen body and takes it back to the ship, but Luffy stays behind and challenges Aokiji to a duel. But then he also ends up frozen solid. Aokiji leaves Luffy in one piece.
Take a shot.
As repayment for what he did to Crocodile. Both Luffy and Robin make a full recovery. The crew sails on and follows a strange frog to an island where they run aground on what seems to be invisible railroad tracks. And that has been your succinct summary.
Woo! Very succinct, very good. I don't particularly have any notes, you know? Sometimes you mention something, I'm like, that was stupid. Or sometimes you don't mention something, I'm like, how did you not notice that pebble that Nami kicked is important?
I got a note. You kind of glossed over the frog. Was this just like a regular, like, little tiny frog that could sit in your hand and...
Yeah, they just found a little normal frog, and then it was like, hey guys! And they're like, oh my god, it's a talking... No, I'm just kidding. It was a giant frog that was swimming in a way that frogs do not normally swim. It was swimming freestyle instead of breaststroke, or like they call it, it's doing the crawl instead.
Well, and then not only that, but I think he has a lot of scars on his body, and I think that we saw those, but we don't really know where they're from.
He has a lot of scars on his body. He's wearing like a sumo wrestler belt loincloth, and he has hair, which is unusual for a frog.
Yeah, that would be.
You just take the right hair product, you know, you treat it twice a day, and you'd be surprised. You can have a full illustrious shine and just a couple... Is it shine or sheen? Okay.
Both. I mean, I don't know what sort of frogs you've been seeing, Kat. I mean, it seemed like a perfectly normal frog to me.
Everyone knows about the hairy toad boys.
Okay, so hairy toad, Toad, or they've got hairy toes, like they're hobbits.
No, it's like the toads from the Mushroom Kingdom, and they all have a second mushroom on top of their mushroom heads, but it's made of hair.
Oh, I hate that. That's terrible.
And they have mustaches.
So, thank you for humoring me about the frog. Do we want to talk about Aokiji a little bit?
No, I think... As much as I love the Aokiji stuff, and as much as there's going to be a lot to talk about, we need to just kind of get the Foxy stuff out of the way. Curtis, what did you think of those 2 episodes in particular?
I'll be honest, I was a little sad that he came back.
Were you a little whelmed, to use the Young Justice term?
Yeah, I was whelmed. It was, I don't know, Foxy is okay in small doses, and I just got a full filler arc with a Foxy. I didn't need 2 more episodes of Foxy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You were all full on Foxy. You'd filled up. You're at your allotment for the day, and then here comes dessert, and it's more Foxy.
Yeah.
So these 2 episodes
completely filler. Just absolutely just stupid.
That makes sense.
Here's my thing. I love the idea of Foxy coming back and being a recurring buffoon in the background, even as a filler character. I did not need more Foxy right now.
Yeah, I think that they brought him back way too early. At the same time, they probably thought that because he was fresh and funky in everyone's mind, like, that's the perfect time. No, it's not. Quick shout out, though. I do think that the scene of him fighting the pirate of the Frog Fang pirates... Weird that we get double frog in these episodes. But anyways, he had a moment where he actually was kind of cool, and I didn't think that was possible, and yet the way he was like, I'm gonna keep fighting, Straw Hat, don't worry about it. It's like, alright, Foxy, I begrudgingly give you my respect. And then he immediately tosses out the window, back into the sea, and it's just like, okay, get lost, loser.
Yep.
And then, Catherine, you notice a certain parallel between Foxy and another beloved cartoon trio. Anime trio, sorry.
Yes. I pointed this out in one of our cold opens for this episode that maybe we'll get voted in, maybe it won't. But at this point, the Foxy Pirates are basically just Team Rocket.
There's 3 of them. One of them is kind of more animalistic and he can talk.
I was going to say, would Hamburg be the Meowth?
He would have to be, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. Portia is actually James, and Foxy is Jesse.
No, because James had a habit of dressing up as different people. I mean, I think there were episodes where they both dressed up, but James was more flamboyant in his outfits, and Foxy dressed up as his sister and as the chef and as the doctor.
That's true, but Portia is kind of like dramatic and extra, and she's not as capable as Foxy, and I feel like Jesse was the most capable on their team.
Okay.
I agree with Kat's assessment on this one. Sorry, Joel.
No, that's all right. Damn it, we should have saved this for our second Pokemon bonus episode. Now we're going to miss out on like 5 minutes of extra content for our patrons.
We can talk about what kind of shenanigans they'd get into.
Oh my god, so good. Okay, so everyone good on Foxy?
Wait, real quick. So at the end of the first Foxy fight at the last round of the Davy Back fight,
yes,
we see Luffy punch him really far away, right?
Yeah.
That's another Team Rocket parallel.
Yeah, see? Exactly. And then the other thing, too, that kind of helped cement the parallel for me was the fact that they were operating a giant machine, and it was crab shape in order to give them some kind of stealth tech, and that's just very Team Rocket.
That was my favorite thing. Well, one of my many favorite things about Team Rocket growing up is they always had these stupid Pokemon-shaped pedal-powered vehicles, and it's like, just, they know what you look like. They're gonna see you coming. Just come normally.
Yeah, well, I think it was really that they wanted to keep the Acme Incorporation, running. After Wile E. Coyote had been thwarted 7,000 times, these 2 idiots show up and they're like, I hear you have some products that are very ineffective for catching people. We want to be ineffective at catching this damn yellow mouse. Okay. We are done with Foxy. We are detoxing from Foxy, and hopefully we'll never see him again. Except I can't promise that, Curtis. I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, I mean,
Every 4 episodes, he comes back for like a single frame, and then he goes away again.
It's just, there's like a middle of a dramatic scene and one flash of Foxy's face on the screen, and then it's gone, and everyone's like, what was that?
Absolutely. One day you wake up and you're pretty sure you see Foxy hanging over you, and then you go, but then you wake up from that dream, and you're like, it must have just been a dream, but then you see the Foxy-shaped handprint on your window.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Wait, not the Foxy-shaped handprint. It would be a whole face print.
Yes, it would. All right, Curtis. First question about Aokiji. How do you just like him in general? He has a little bit of like I would say a mood swing a little bit. Like his mood doesn't change, but he certainly acts a certain way when you meet him versus how he acts near the end of those 2 episodes with him.
Yeah. So my initial assessment of Aokiji is he seems like, so I could tell he was going to be tough because he didn't care at all. In an anime, when somebody doesn't like give a crap about what's going on around them like that, like they're super apathetic to a bunch of very strong people showing up. They are either super arrogant and are about to have their ass handed to them, or they're crazy strong and they deserve that arrogance.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be kind of weird if they gave you another seemingly competent guy who is full of himself, a la, Bellamy, right after having Foxy, who served that same purpose. So it kind of makes sense cosmically that the next one would be a serious threat.
Yeah, so I was expecting him to be strong, also because he was in the opening, so I was kind of like, yeah, I know what he's gonna do, kind of.
He freaked out Robin. Like, someone like Robin does not easily lose her shit.
Yeah.
So when you see her, like, fall over from fear, you're like, oh god, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I was very surprised to see Robin freak out like that. It's not indicative of her character.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a great show not tell moment, right? They're showing you how powerful he is by the fact that this normally stoic person is very frightened of him.
Yeah. It's also very interesting from my perspective because As far as the crewmates on the crew go, crewmates on the crew, as far as Luffy's crewmates go, we don't really have much of a mystery about Zoro. He was a boy who wanted to learn how to be good with a sword. Okay, great. Usopp, his dad left to become a pirate. He also kind of wanted to be a pirate. Okay, very, very simple, very basic. Chopper had
Luffy has a grandfather.
Luffy, we didn't even know that until later. But, like, most of the crew members, they sort of show up and you sort of, okay, yeah, I get it. Maybe they play a little bit of a mystery with, like, what are they, like, why is Sanji so indebted to the Baratier? Why does Zoro fight with 3 swords? There's, like, little mysteries, but they get addressed very quickly. The only two, to me, that feel like big mysteries that actually took longer to solve were Nami and Robin, strangely enough, the 2 women on the crew, but we didn't know why Nami hated pirates and why she was after this large sum of money. And with Robin, we get this, like, tidbit, oh, she's very dangerous, she has a high bounty, but we don't really know, like, the details of that story, and from what we know of her, she doesn't seem like the violent type who would take out a bunch of warships. So, like, what's going on here? And so it's, Aokiji is just another clue to the mystery that we might be getting actually closer to solving. I feel comfortable saying that, yeah, the reason that we're getting this tidbit now is because we need this tidbit before the next big thing can happen.
Oh, yeah, see, she's definitely, well, I think she is taking the longest to pay off out of all of them, right? Because, like, even Nami, it wasn't that long until we figured out what was up with her.
Yeah. In terms of arcs and sagas, as, the wiki and as we describe them, Nami only took a couple of arcs before you got it. Robin, she showed up at the beginning of a saga. She didn't join the team till at the end of the saga, and then we had the entire Sky Island stuff where really it wasn't really mentioned because they were in a completely different world where the politics of the Blue Sea didn't really matter. So it's certainly been on the back burner for a while.
Yeah, and I mean, really, we didn't get all that much more information, right? Like, Aokiji mentions that she's destroyed a lot of ships. And I think really the newest piece that we got had to do with that she had worked with a series of criminal organizations, and that she is always the only person that survives the criminal organization, right? Which we saw an example of that in Alabasta. Right? Crocodile's whole thing fell apart, but Robin survived.
Yeah, but that's actually kind of interesting. Like, I'm going to pick your brain for a second here, if that's all right. We saw Crocodile's organization. We knew that they were doing bad stuff. We saw Robin, and she was just looking for some history. She was just being a good girl, and she played a part. She played a role. She kidnapped people, and she blew up ships, but no one ever died at her hand. And so I'm wondering if, like, did this drama actually stick with you? When Aokiji said, Robin's going to betray you, were you taking the stance of Luffy like, no, she would never do that? Or did you actually have a moment of like, oh, we don't know what Robin's intentions are. She could be playing the long con.
My assumption is that even when she was working with those other criminal organizations, she was probably in a similar situation to the one she was in with Crocodile. They were a means to an end, right?
Absolutely.
And then she just happens to be smart enough to get herself out of the situation. So when the criminal organizations fall apart, or when something drastic happens, she survives and is able to continue her quest for knowledge and for the Rio Poneglyph.
Yes. I'm so proud of you for remembering that, because there's a couple of things that show up way early in One Piece, and then they kind of don't get mentioned again until much later, and then, if you go to the wiki or you talk among the fans, you go, oh, that was mentioned earlier. I'd forgotten the word Rio Poneglyph by this point in my original watch-through, so very proud of you.
It helps that I have you guys around.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it was Robin's fault that those organizations fell apart, or do you think she was just kind of there, and her self-preservation skills are good enough that she got out of them? Because, like, with the situation with Crocodile, she would have died. She would have gone down with the organization if Luffy specifically hadn't decided to save her.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But what if this is similar to how she gets out of all the other situations, right? Like, he decided to save her, but he decided to save her because of who she was. But I guess I get your point, because she would have been trapped down there, right, with Crocodile. And I think in that situation, there would have been nothing she could have done at all.
Here's what it is. Here's what happens. Every time she joins a criminal organization, somebody else shows up to take them down, and then they end up liking her and taking her into their criminal organization, and she's just continually...
No, okay. Here's what it actually is. Sorry, Curse. This is going to get into some spoiler territory. But Robin, as we know, is a well-read individual. So every group she joins, she's like, okay, here's my chance, gotta make a good impression, I'm gonna be a good bean, and I'm going to start a literature club. I'm gonna help these people have elevated minds. And she hands out these books, and these people read them, and then she gets the group together, and she's so excited to talk about this book. It has such interesting world building and characters and setting, and then someone goes, yeah, I didn't really get it. And someone else was like, yeah, it was kind of dense, I put it down after the first 2 chapters. And then she just cyanides all of their drinks, because we know her specialty is assassination, and then she leaves and she finds another group. She goes, maybe these people will be the people who finally understand my interest in literature.
Oh,
So
I
she's-
love that.
She's slowly cleansing the world of non-academics, is what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Oh God, watch out, Luffy.
It's exactly why Luffy's in such danger, because he doesn't know how to read. No, I think he can read, but just like, oh my God, Luffy, look out. Okay.
Yeah, Luffy strikes me as the person who probably really likes like the Hardy Boys.
Okay, sure.
Is that a bad
But-
thing?
Well, no. But I guess my point being that, like, I don't know if he ever got past that level of
Yeah. Between
writing.
him and Usopp, one of them is definitely more into, like, the comic book sort of thing, where it's mostly about the visuals and less about the reading, and then the other one is, you know, fairly simplistic reading that you would give to, like, a child and they never grew out of it. And I would argue probably Usopp would be more into the comic book scene. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not, I don't mean to trash on the Hardy Boys. It's a very good book series, but it's a book series intended for a younger audience, right? So
Certainly. Before we go on and talk more about this Aokiji guy, I think it's time to go into our world-famous ad segment. As you listeners out there know, we have been given a contract to partner with the Life
plus
Corporation. So their whole job is to make every area of your life better. You know, be it business, be it socially, be it romantically, wink wink, you know, be it environmentally. They're just trying to make the world a better place in all aspects. So today I want to talk to you about Feelings 2.0. Now listen, we've all had the situations where you get really upset and you feel like your heart's gonna like burst out of your chest, or you have those feelings where you're so sad you feel like you're under the weight of 50,000 blankets. Why am I only describing the sad emotions? You also have, you know, happiness when you see someone you haven't seen in a long time, or you meet someone and you just click, you kind of feel that elation. Or, you know, if you meet a cute person, you're like, I want to spend more time with them. Maybe I want to, you know, be a little romantic with them. You get the butterflies in your stomach.
Or sometimes you get really angry and you just destroy a whole fleet of ships that the Navy sends after you.
Read these books! The plot twist is that these books actually aren't very good, and Robin just read them at an impressionable age, so no one's ever going to like them. That's the plot twist at the end of the day.
Oh no.
Luffy is okay because he's kind of like into whatever, you know, he doesn't care. But anyways, you have these emotions and they have these physical reactions, but they're limited, you know, to your person. So with Emotions 2.0, not only is there a greater breadth of emotions that you can feel, not only are the heights even higher, not only are the lows even lower, which from a psychological point of view is important, I guess, because like without the lows you can't appreciate the highs, but like there's more range, there's feelings that we don't have the words to describe at this moment in time. You can actually, with Feelings 2.0, you can actually transfer some of your feelings. So if you're feeling really happy and, you know, someone else in your family's feeling a little down, you can kind of help them through that a little bit. That's awesome. And in some very rare cases, your new emotions can manifest as metaphysical powers, you know? You're so angry that you could just burst into flames, and all of a sudden electricity comes out of your feet. Why electricity? Don't ask. Just go with the feeling, be a superhero, get really angry, and shock people, you know, until they go to jail or whatever, until they reform. So
where you get really happy and you just start to glow, like literally glow, and you can just walk in the dark and you can see where you're going.
Exactly. You could lead expeditions into, underground labyrinth areas because you are the light through which everyone else can see.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, you were given a couple of these new emotions that have yet to hit the market, ahead of the big marketing push. How would you, obviously you can't describe it, but how did it affect your life?
I would say it made work much easier.
Okay.
Normally you go to work and you can feel good about your work. Work can make you mad. It can make you sad. But this was something completely new, and it really made the whole ride very smooth.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, because Life++ is always trying to make the world a better place, if enough people back this product and start using Emotions 2.0 and start sharing with their friends and all this other stuff, eventually that will become the norm, and they're going to have to take it even one step beyond that. It's like Super Saiyan up in here. There's no limit to the number of transformations you can unlock. And so, A, it's a good thing to experience this product. B, it's a good thing to share with other people. But then C, it's also going to allow us to further develop these, empathetic abilities, this ability to be kind to one another. And so it's all just it's a really good thing. And one other thing, too, some people out there might be thinking, wow, I already feel a lot of lows. I don't want lower lows, which is part of the tagline of Emotions 2.0. But they also come with safety features, sometimes people need to feel these sad emotions. It'd be weird if there was a family tragedy or something and you just felt nothing. So this allows you to feel it, but in a completely safe way. And it's just, it's not going to cause you to hurt yourself. It's a temporary situation that you're in. And, it usually gets better.
Please make sure the safety harness is well fitted to your form.
Yes. Please do not introduce Emotions 2.0 to the animals. Your pets are not prepared for that, okay? It takes a certain level of mental ability, and if your cat experiences that new emotion that Catherine was talking about, you might cross a threshold you don't mean to cross.
Keep your arms and legs inside the feelings at all times.
Absolutely. And Curtis, did you have anything else to add about this wonderful product?
I may have given it to an animal.
Oh no.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Do you always test new products on your pets? What's wrong with you?
I didn't say it was my pet.
It was the neighbor's cat.
There was a very irritating bird outside my window, and it wouldn't go away. And I said, "Here, feel what I'm going through right now." And man, that bird, It did weird loops flying through the sky. It was laughing.
Okay.
Laughing maniacally.
With human teeth, right? In the beak?
Yeah. it only when it laughed, though. It was very strange.
Yes. I actually, truth be told, Kat, I hate to come clean about this on the podcast in front of our millions of listeners. There was a raccoon scrounging around in the local dumpster, and I just thought, you know what? Maybe if I gave him some emotions...
Not Lil Tim!
You named him?
Yes, he's Lil Tim, and he has his little fingerless gloves.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna
make the best mental image ever!
I was gonna make him a tiny hat.
Well, he actually, one of the emotions that he felt was closely related to motivation. He's actually going to go and finish and get that GED that he's been talking about all this time. So, not every I experimented on these strange animals ends on a sad note. Sometimes it ends in a pretty good way.
Oh, thank God.
And
at least Tim didn't get eaten by one of my cats, so.
That's true. One other thing, too, that I do want to point out, all of Life++'s products interact with each other. They all work together, and they all are backwards compatible. So even if you are using Emotions 2.0 and your friends are still on their basic Emotions 1.0, it's still going to work just fine. You're still going to be able to communicate with them and that sort of thing. And if you already have the Baby 2.0 from last episode, and you also have the Emotions 2.0, you will be able to connect with that baby in new ways. That doesn't mean that you need that connection. It doesn't make you a bad parent, but it's just another dimension through which you can explore this new family member.
Yeah, you know, like people for a long time would hold their babies in their arms, and then people started wearing their babies. It's like that. Neither is better or worse than the other, but it is different, and people will look at you funny in public.
When you say wearing the baby, you mean in a harness, you don't mean that you tip the baby's skin.
Ah! Why is that the first place your mind goes?
Like, if I said that I was going to go over and I was going to wear Curtis, you would look at me funny, and you said, wear the babies. I was just like, okay.
Curtis is 6 feet tall. He'd never fit in a harness.
All right, folks. Hopefully we've given you the encouragement that you need to, get your GEDs. That's important, but also experience Emotions 2.0.
Emotions 2.0. Feel like you've never felt before.
Plus.
Perfect.
Welcome back, fellow adventurers.
So another thing that's just so great about Aokiji is he shows up and he's an admiral, which, by the way, there's only 3 of them in the entire Navy, Marines, whichever one you want to call them. And it's the highest rank that we've met so far. And he's immediately shown, not immediately, he's at first kind of a goofus to the point where Usopp is like laughing at him kind of like openly. But once the fight starts, you really get the sense like, oh no, oh, you thought Crocodile was tough? You thought the guy up in the sky calling himself God was tough? Look at this guy. He freezes that ocean, and as Catherine pointed out, like, how much power does this guy have? Like, this is a solid ice thing that won't melt for a week and can give them a 4 days journey to the next island. And then also, when he fights, he takes out Zoro and Sanji and Luffy at the same time. I'm surprised he didn't grab Sanji and use him to beat Zoro to death, honestly. He's that sort of guy. He honestly could if he wanted to.
That's a very disturbing image.
I'm just a very disturbed person today. I don't know. Maybe in another little while I'll start talking about, Chucky and Jason Voorhees, and I actually know some of these references I'm making.
I'm so proud of you.
I don't.
They're classic horror villains.
Yeah.
Jason Voorhees was
One
Friday
Piece.
the 13th.
Okay, we're gonna go back into One Piece. We haven't gotten to the horror filler arc where Luffy thinks that all of his crewmates are dead.
Oh god, don't even joke.
Okay, let's focus though. Aokiji, powerhouse. Agree, disagree, yes, no.
Aye.
Okay.
I am in 100% agreement. Like, the only reason they survived that battle is because Aokiji let them survive that battle.
Yes.
Like,
absolutely.
he could have killed all of them right there if he had really wanted to. And I don't know if he didn't because, I mean, he said it was because I'm paying you back for what you did to Crocodile and how you helped us out, right? But at the same time, it might just be because he's lazy.
I have to ask, how does someone that lazy get A, that strong, and B, to that level in the Marines? What is his motivation?
I think he is one. You know how some like engineers are really lazy, but they're really lazy in a weird way where they'll do a lot of work
to escape work.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what he is. He knew he had to work really hard so that he could get high enough that he could afford not to do any work.
I like that theory. I also like the idea that he's strong. You know, if someone were to decide they were going to try to take out the Marines or whatever, and they were going to march to headquarters, Marijoa, the name that we've heard mentioned a couple of times, and Aokiji was standing in their way, I don't think we've met anyone who could confidently be like, yes! I will defeat that man! No, no, they would be running from this man if he ever got serious. Like, if he got serious, he would be, like, insane, and I think that might actually be why Oda gave him the personality that he did, because you needed a character who could show us how high the ceiling is on power, but then you also needed them to conceivably have a way to escape. So
yeah, I'm really curious, like, Aokiji versus either Eneru or Crocodile. Like, I mean, he would definitely wipe the floor with Crocodile. I'm pretty sure he'd wipe the floor with Eneru. And, like, to see, it makes me wonder, what the hell are the Marines doing with their time? that it's like letting all these people run rampant around the world.
To be fair, Crocodile was a warlord, so he had government sanctions.
He was exemption, and until he was exposed, no one knew he was doing bad stuff.
I guess that's true. Yeah. And I guess Eneru's up in Sky Island, and they don't really look up there. But like, I would just really specifically, I would like to see Eneru's face when like Aokiji just shows up and it's like, "No, you're done."
I've been listening to the Piece Together podcast, Codpast, whatever the heck that is. I've been listening to their podcast lately because now I have a different commute and I have more time. Ooh. But they were talking about how much they love how dependent Eneru is on his lightning fruit, and he just seems to think that he's invincible and Luffy's the only one who can counter him. But I really wonder what he would do if he ran into another Logia. Like, behold, I am made out of lightning. Yeah, and I'm made out of fire. What are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
Do you think Eneru has the capacity to think of other people as gods? So if he met Ace, would he be like, yes, we are brothers. I am the god of lightning and you are the god of fire? Or would he just like snap mentally?
Someone write me the fanfic where he's actually capable of getting along with other people. But no, absolutely not. His ego is the biggest thing that we've ever seen.
Would you say it's the size of the moon?
Okay, so Aokiji, super strong. He also, we found out that Eneru's weakness, is rubber. I also still think that, like, if you had some kind of, like, a squirt gun technology, you could short-circuit him, but we didn't get any confirmation of that in Skypiea. Crocodile, it turns out, can't get wet. That's his big weakness. Probably also a weakness of Ace, again. But, like, can you melt Aokiji? Is that his weakness? You just set a bunch of fires around him? But I don't know.
Well, I think the problem would be if you melted Aokiji, that he could reform, right? Because the water is still him. So, like, yes, I think it would weaken him, but it's not like, if you're looking to, like, kill him, I don't think that'd be an option. What you could do, maybe, is if you like melted him down and then put him in several different bottles.
Okay, sure. Kind of like how they did that with Buggy's body when they separated his head from his torso type thing.
Precisely, just like that. It's either that or you turn him to steam and you try to get the particles to spread out as much as possible.
What if you froze him at such a low temperature that he couldn't conceivably move? Like, he absolute
has
zero.
Magic powers. I think that would make him stronger if you tried to get him to freeze that. I could see that. That'd be really interesting. If you gave him a personality where he was super over the top and super energetic, you could play that off for laughs because, like, he's the ice guy, but he has no chill. But you could also conceivably trick him into going so cold that he can't move. But he doesn't seem like the sort of person who would do that. I'm also curious if his powers, if you gave that fruit, if you somehow, like, extracted the power from him and gave it to someone else, would they on day one be able to do the same Ice Age thing that he did? Or is that something that, are they physical, like quirks, in such that he's so good at it because he's been training so long?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think there'd definitely be some training involved.
Exactly. Personally, my money is on you need to train with it in order to, like, creatively wrap your mind around how to use it, how to best utilize it. But I think there is also, I cannot believe that you could just give that fruit to someone else and they'd be able to Ice Age and create that bridge. Same with Eneru. You wouldn't be able to give the Rumble fruit to Usopp and you wouldn't be able to smite someone from 5 miles away.
Well, and here's a question I have. So, Crocodile is made of sand. He can't create sand out of nowhere.
That's true.
So, for Aokiji to be able to freeze things, first of all, there has to be enough moisture in them to freeze them, but also he has to have more control over his devil fruit than Crocodile does, or he himself is so cold when he's made of ice that it affects the world around him.
Yeah, he's technically not ice. He's technically cold. He is the chill fruit. And so I think that's what it is that he has the ability to, like, spread that coldness to other people, maybe? I don't know.
Gotcha. So what you're telling me is he is made of coldness.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I love it. Thank you, One Piece.
Yes. So we asked this question when we were introduced to the first member of another group, the Seven Warlords. We met Mihawk, and he cut an entire ship in half, and I went, Curtis, do you think that Mihawk is like the strongest, or the weakest, or the silliest, or the most serious? And I believe that you said that you thought that he would probably be on the lower end of strength just because, escalation of stakes. You're going to meet the weaker ones first. Same question for Aokiji. We got the name drop of the other two admirals, Akainu and Kizaru, and I have a fun little tidbit about their names that we can go over in a second. But how do you feel Aokiji stacks up to the other two? Do you think that Aokiji is the first that we met because he's the laziest and easiest to escape?
I think they're all going to be equally strong.
Okay.
I think they will be equally strong in different ways. But yes, I think he's going to be the most, what's the word I want? Amenable?
Okay.
In terms of his personality, right? He's probably the easiest of them to get along with. I'm guessing that one of the other two is going to be a real hard ass. And I don't know, the other one's either going to be strictly by the book, or I don't know, or like a zealot, right?
Oh my god, could you imagine, someone who's obsessed with the laws? Like, he walks around with, a book of all the laws in the world, and he stops and goes, I need to look this up. And he can, read real fast, so he's, zipping through thousands of pages.
He's not super strong, but he's, an entrenched bureaucrat.
Yeah. He's got the glasses that he adjusts. He has gray hair. He's actually, 97 years old.
Oh my gosh, I love it. What do you guys think that the other two admirals' powers are? Do you think they are all Logia, or do you think they
Hang
each
on.
have...
I wrote down a couple of different options, and it might be the case that I'm trying to trick Curtis and that none of these are true, but in general, Aokiji is a Logia. He can turn his body into his element. So do we think that the other two admirals also Logias of different types of elements? Do we assume that they're all, because there's three of them and there's three devil fruit types, will Aokiji be the Logia, and will one of the other ones be a Zoan animal shapeshifter, and then the other one be a Paramecia kind of catch-all other? Or is it going to be Aokiji is the only devil fruit user and the other two are I don't know, a giant and an amazing sniper, some kind of special skill that puts them on the same level as this guy?
Well, one, I don't think any of them are going to be a different species. I think all of them are going to be human. Just because, as far as I can tell, the Navy is primarily made up of humans.
I don't believe we have seen a non-human Marine where we are now, and that may or may not be the case going forward.
Yeah, so my assumption is that it's true. I'm assuming that they're kind of like the Empire from Star Wars, that they are a majority human, right?
A homogenous kind of society.
Yeah, and that they kind of look at other non-human species as second-class citizens. Running on that, I think I could see either of the devil fruit options being true. They could all be Logia, and they could all be different Logia types, or they could each one be a different, a different type of. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so if you were to... Actually, really quick, before we go into, more speculation, before I put you on the spotlight, something in case you didn't notice it, Curtis, or perhaps our fans didn't notice, when you read the manga, a lot of times they'll put translation notes on the side, and it's that's really interesting, but the anime in the dub usually doesn't point this kind of thing out, and then the sub, depending on who is subbing, sometimes they add little translator notes. But in case those of you aren't aware, Aokiji is Ao and Kiji, and Ao is the noun blue, because Japanese is weird. They have nouns for certain colors and then adjectives. But anyways, he is the blue pheasant. I don't know what exactly about him says pheasant. Maybe pheasants are particularly sleepy animals, or maybe they're very tall. Akainu is also mentioned. He was actually mentioned back in the filler arc G8 as well, and that translates to red dog. And then Kizaru is yellow monkey. So there's a color scheme going on here, and it's also the colors of the Pokemon game, so that's kind of weird. But those names might help us figure out or speculate insofar as Aokiji is the blue one, and he controls the cold. Huh. I don't just go up to someone and be like, oh, your name's Paul? I'm going to call you Blue Tiger. No, there's got to be a reason why I gave him that name, so that,
Other than the reference bit, do you think the animals are somehow reflective of their personalities?
I am not going to comment at this point because the only one we've met is the one that I don't know much about pheasants. They are a bird. I know dog things. You know, when we meet Akainu, I might be able to say, that's a dog. And if we meet Kizaru, I might be able to say, like, that's a monkey.
Do you want kind of a ridiculous tangent here for a second?
Sure.
So I had never seen a pheasant until like college where they ran around wildly. But in a book I really liked as a kid, one of the main characters poached pheasants for a living, and they were described as being really delicious. So every time I hear the word pheasant, I think, man, I want to eat one.
That is pretty good. You do minus 5 points from Ravenclaw because that was not actually a secret Kingdom Hearts reference slipping its way into the podcast.
It was actually a trap to get you to do the Kingdom Hearts reference.
I see. Okay, that's a nice picture of a... it looks very much like Aokiji. Like, if you put this and Aokiji in a police lineup, there's no way that you would be able to...
Pheasants are beautiful birds.
Wait. Okay, so this is not going to work for audio, but... One second.
Curtis is literally lining up a picture of a pheasant and Aokiji in our shared Google Drive document.
Okay, here we go.
Man was never meant to have this kind of technology. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I can't really tell these two apart.
Good. I'm so glad that you found that picture of Aokiji and not the one where he's shirtless, because, man, is that some, A, impressive pecs, and B, spoilers,
Do you think he is always cold, or do you think he doesn't feel cold?
I don't know, but it would definitely help him, considering the fact that he's wearing, like, what seems to be a somewhat warm outfit, especially for being on a summer island. Like, I would be hot in that.
Oh my god. Yeah, spoiler alert, this is something that I'm comfortable sharing. I believe that all three of the admirals wear suits. I'm pretty sure. Like, they all have the tie, and they're expected to dress the part, because these are the three powerhouses. These are the strongest fighters in the Marines.
Okay, I have a prediction then about these guys, okay? Alright, so... Okay, remind me again. So, which one's Zoan and which one's Paramecia?
Zoan is the shapeshifter. Like Chopper and Pell and Chakra and all them. Chakra?
And then Paramecia is just like the other.
Paramecia is like random. You've got springs on your feet, I guess.
Okay.
You can sprout hands. You can... Yeah, it's all sorts of weird stuff.
Okay. So here's what I think. I think for Akainu, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is going to be a Paramecia, and he can shoot magma. But he's also just, like, incredibly hot and sweaty all the time.
Okay.
And I think that's it. I think his character design is going to be him being sweaty all the time.
Okay, and obviously the secret technique, like, once Luffy and the others start getting strong enough to be able to fight these guys, they're going to be like, we have our ultimate secret technique. And Luffy be like, what? Secret technique? And then Aokiji and Akainu will do the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z, and they will turn into Todoroki from My Hero Academia, completing the reference trinity.
Yes. Wait,
okay.
Did you say Akainu and Aokiji? Because it could also be Aokiji and Ace.
Oh, that's absolutely true. That's when the aliens show up, and they're like, we are the Gleamglorps, and we pose a threat to the world, and the pirates and the world government have to be like, we have to team up, we have to do it, we hate you, you hate us, but let's do it, and then Ace and Aokiji break out the fusion dance.
And then Thanos snaps, and Zoro disappears. Oh no, imagine Chopper!
Oh no, I don't feel so good, Mr. Zoro!
Yeah.
Oh no! That's so sad. Please, we have to talk about something else. Okay, so Akainu is the Paramecia, and he is very sweaty, and he can create magma, which means that Kizaru, the yellow monkey, would be a Zoan if you're going to go with that pattern.
Yeah, and he just turns into a monkey.
Okay. Any relation to Monkey D. Luffy, do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
I think his name is Kizaru D. Luffy. He's probably Luffy's dad.
Not the grandpa.
I guess it would be Kizaru D. No, Monkey D. Kizaru? Did they do the family? Which way did they do
Monkey
the names?
is the family name.
Okay, yeah. So he would be Monkey D. Yellow Monkey.
My My parents hated me. His name is Recursive. Okay, perfect. What do you... Okay, so if you had to guess, and again, I don't know this answer either, but, like, what about Aokiji is pheasant-like, would you say? Catherine, I'm going to put you on the spotlight, too, after Curse guesses.
Why don't you let Kat go first this time?
Okay.
Okay, so as we all know, birds are inherently lazy.
Sure.
And they take a lot of naps. Pheasants are actually remarkably stupid birds.
Okay.
Like, they are just very unintelligent. So I'm wondering if making him the pheasant, like, him being lazy isn't quite the same as being unintelligent, but it has kind of the same result.
Or, to go back to my crack theory about how Aokiji taking off his shirt would be spoilers, maybe he's a winged person from, like, one of the Sky Islands. When he takes off his shirt, he has little tiny wings, and that's why he's the pheasant. He's the flying animal among this group of animals.
But he doesn't fly great.
No, not really. They kind of flutter for a second, that's it.
Oh, I love it. Maybe he's the pheasant because dogs just terrify him. He's, like, chilling in a bush and a dog runs up and he, like,
Oh, get out of here! He's calling the other admirals on the Den Mushi, please send help! There's a dog! And they're like, this is the third time.
He'd call Kizaru. He wouldn't call Akainu.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
So I Googled pheasant facts. And I have a couple that might tie into this. So pheasants are able to dig one. Oh yeah, okay. Pheasants are able to dig 1 foot through the snow to find food during the winter.
Oh, okay.
Also, pheasants are not migratory birds. They stay in their roosts during the cold winter.
Oh, okay.
The other facts are not relevant.
Okay, perfect. I do want to point out, I'm going to get this so wrong, and gosh, if I wanted to be the number one One Piece fanboy, I would probably have looked this up and verified. But I believe that there is... Okay, so this is true. There's a story called Journey to the West, which is actually what Dragon Ball was based off of. And I believe that it's a character going on a journey to the West, and he meets 2 or 3 people that join him on his quest. I don't know if he counts as one of the 3 or if he meets 3 other people. But they are a monkey, a pheasant, and a dog, I'm pretty sure. So I think that's where the reference to Aokiji comes from, and I don't know if he necessarily has qualities of the pheasant. It might just be that he has qualities related to that character from Journey to the West. Possibly.
Mm-hmm. As a side note, apparently it's the green pheasant is the national bird of Japan.
Oh.
So it's probably like, seen somewhat like highly there. So they're probably trying to pick 3 animals that 1 were like notable and 2 were also like I guess kind of like seen as valuable. And so for a Japanese audience, a pheasant might be at least a little bit more recognizable than for like an American audience who's like, I don't know what a pheasant is. Yeah. No, for us it would be like that's what he would be. He'd be like the blue hawk or the blue eagle or something like that, right?
Okay, I think I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. One other quick tidbit that I'm rattling off the top of my head, and so I'm definitely getting this partially wrong, I think, but all of the admirals are based off of movie stars in Japan. I can't remember which ones are which. I've tried to look it up before, but because I haven't seen these films, I'm not familiar with them. I can't, personally remember it very easily. But I believe that one of them is, in a lot of action movies, and I believe, another one is constantly... He's, the police figure in all the movies that he's in, and so these 3 admirals, very much so, look like they're the real-life actors from specific genres or specific eras of movie making.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay, one other random question. Aokiji, very tall guy. Do you think the other 2 are going to be even taller, or do you think one of them's going to be, comically short, or are they all going to be about the same height? What's going on here?
Since height is directly related to power scaling in One Piece, I'm going to say they get gradually taller as you meet them. The last one's just going to be, a mountain.
I like it. But still very thin, right?
Yes, they actually get thinner as they get taller.
Oh, I see. I assumed they'd all get bigger, and bigger both directions. And I assumed the only person in the One Piece universe who would get thinner as they get taller is Luffy.
I appreciate the third admiral. Like, again, I'm sorry to give away so many spoilers, but he's going to be 4 times as tall as Aokiji, and at this point, Luffy and Usopp and Robin will have noticed that height correlates to power, and they'll be like, "How are we going to defeat them?" But then Usopp has his moment to shine when he rips off Akainu's pants, and it turns out he's actually on stilts, and he's actually the shortest, and he's the laughingstock among the admirals, and then they defeat him that way.
Oh, poor Akainu.
But then they ask him to join their crew because they don't discriminate based off of size, and he and Chopper have this moment of like, "No, I'm taller. No, I'm taller."
Oh, you think he's like Chopper size?
Yes, yeah, he's very small. Like, he's basically 3 children in a trench coat, but it's just the one child and stilts.
What if he's 2 people in a trench coat? One of them is named Akka and the other one is named Inu.
And Akka is actually kind of dog-shaped, and Inu wears a bunch of red. It's one of those One Piece jokes that only Oda can pull off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems possible.
And I think that I have one last question that has nothing really to do with the admirals. Oh, really quick, so this might spoil what the other admirals are like based off of the fact that I'm saying this is what I would like the admirals to be. Curse, you might be able to go, that probably means that they're not like this. Unless this is a secret subversion, and I'm naming exactly what they're like so that you'll be surprised when, I've already told you. But I would love it if one of the admirals was a badass woman character. We don't have any of those as bad guys in the One Piece series. The only one who came close was Robin, who, switched sides. Konus and Bellamere and Nojiko and Kureha, they're all great, but they are allies. I want an enemy that is like this woman who, I don't know, maybe she could be a swordswoman, and then both Sanji and Zoro would be like, "Oh man, come on, man," and she could be like awesome and super cool. And I'd love it if the third one was a doctor who would be like, "I don't really like fighting, please don't cause a ruckus," and he would be they would be a parallel to Chopper insofar as like when they did get serious, they'd be kind of monsterish, and they'd have a transformation or something, and they'd be like, "I told you to stay in bed," as they're like slowly getting bigger and like more shrouded in shadows.
"You will let me heal you or you will die."
Those are your 2 options. Catherine, can you just like create an OC off the top of your head for one of the other admirals?
Oh gosh. Okay. Yes. You know what? Third admiral, she's a girl and she's got giant fists.
Okay.
And she's just there and she's ready to punch.
Wait. She ate the shark fruit, which you might think is kind of weird because, if you can't swim and you're turning into but she's confined it. She's harnessed it, so it's only her fists. Her fists turn into shark
Oh my
mouths.
God. That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
And she constantly has a tail. It's just kind of like poking out underneath her shirt.
Please, someone draw me Admiral Shark Fists. Please.
Okay. So I think we're done with the admirals. Curse, I don't want to cut you off, but do you have anything else you want to say about Aokiji?
No, I think I'm good. We've said what there is to be said.
Okay. Oh, one quick question. When do you think we will see him again? Do you think that it's going to be a very long time, like how we haven't seen Mihawk in, properly? He hasn't seen the Straw Hats in like 200 episodes. Or do you think he's going to be hiding around the corner in the next like 2 or 3 episodes of like, we got rid of you?
So my gut feeling was that he's going to be back quickly, but I think it makes more sense for him to be gone for a while, just because we saw how strong he was, and the Straw Hats are not ready to face him yet.
Yeah, they're not going to just like look underneath the couch and find a couple of rare candies, and then Chopper starts evolving, and now there's something on an even playing field.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the last bullet point that I have in my notes, not related to the admirals, but related to some interesting things. So, we got a couple of things that were interesting about Luffy in these episodes, strangely enough. We know that Luffy canonically has a grandpa, which, yeah, it was very unlikely that Luffy was hatched from an egg or something, but it's interesting that we have had no mention of Luffy's family other than when Ace showed up. We know that this grandpa knows Aokiji well enough for Aokiji to say, "Oh, you remind me of your grandpa, so, like, Okay, they maybe they have tea time, maybe they're coworkers, maybe they're rivals that have fought so long that they know each other super well. Maybe they're the canonically gay couple of One Piece, Luffy's grandpa and Aokiji. Look, I'm just trying to throw out as many ideas as possible. So we know that Luffy has a grandpa. We know that this grandpa has some kind of a relationship with Aokiji. And we also noticed when they mentioned Luffy's grandpa, Luffy started sweating and his mouth like dropped open
His
a little
eyes
bit.
got
He was
really
like,
big.
"You know grandpa?" And they kind of got cut off before the conversation could continue. But just like, who is this random man?
So either Luffy's grandpa is a notorious criminal in some way, you know, he's a pirate or he's a member of some organization, something, right?
Okay.
Or he is some really big high up in the Marines. What do you think, Curtis?
I am assuming he's high up in the Marines. Here's what I think is going on, right?
Okay.
I think that Luffy's family has generationally been in the Marines. And I think Luffy is like, or I guess it'd be Luffy and Ace, wouldn't it be?
Mhm.
But like, I think Luffy's generation of the family has gone like rogue, right? And they're like, no, we're going to be pirates instead, Dad or Grandpa.
What it is that this is actually Luffy's rebellious phase, and we have all been assuming that the end of the series will be Luffy obtaining the One Piece and becoming the Pirate King, but actually, he's set on the right course by his loving and caring family. He becomes a Marine undercover, and when he recovers the One Piece or gets it or whatever, he just destroys it. He's like, "This is the end of pirates!" And he smashes it over his knee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then now Luffy's like, that hurt him so badly, and he has to prove to his grandfather that, no, you're wrong. Pirates are still here.
Okay, I like that. And then also, if Luffy were to eventually be swayed to the side of the Marines, if he were to like have that heel face turn, I guess that would be a face heel turn. My apologies. But you could also have the crew being like, we want him to be a pirate again. So it's the entire crew versus evil, quote unquote, Luffy, trying to convince him to join the forces of piracy.
Yeah.
And I think that has been your
Final thought. Outro goes here.
As I said earlier, next episode we'll be covering movie 6. If you have any thoughts on that, please feel free to tweet at us or send a Gmail to us, and we'll include, your thoughts. Have a great day, everyone.
I heard some scuttlebutt that Luffy's grandpa helped a Marine admiral. Has Luffy been the rebellious child of a Marine family this entire time?
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod. KingOfTheWhatPod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.